We are going to record this meeting today. This is actually kind of, we'll talk about a little bit more today's will help with e-portfolio. And I think it's competency M, leadership. Um, so we'll talk about that as we get further on. Yeah, this is great. Okay, let's see. Oh, we already talked about that. For anyone who's not, this is not their first semester, any favorite classes you've taken so far that you'd like to share? Any kind of pros and cons of the classes that you've taken that you think some first semester students would be interested in learning more about? Heather said online searching, which I'd taken it in the beginning. That sounds really interesting. Digital creation, if you're interested in archiving, that would be really good. Preservation management, that would be good. Oral history, that sounds awesome. Are there any classes you wish you took before taking other classes that kind of helped you later on in the year?
I think for me, taking Info 256 archives and manuscripts, that one just really helped me figure out or try to figure out like what part of archives I really enjoyed and what I wanted to like learn more about. So it helped kind of plan out my other classes after that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had asked Dr. Hodges what classes I should take kind of in order, and that was something that he suggested taking first before moving on um, to, I think it was preservation management to look at next.
Also, getting Info 285, the research methods class, like done earlier. I think I did it a little bit too late in the program. I wish I'd done it earlier just so some of the other stuff would have made more sense.
Ooh,
I agree. This
no,
is
it's
my
really
last
helpful.
semester, and I just took that course and it really threw me off. It
Mm.
actually brought down my GPA.
Yeah, it's like a lot. And I did it over the summer too. I don't know if you did it over the summer, Esther, but yeah, it was a lot of a lot of work. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
crash course in statistics and formulas.
yeah.
Taking notes for myself. I'll make sure I do that soon.
Yeah. Oh, Jennifer, you asked if I could mention the course again. I mentioned a couple. I think I typed in oral history. And then there's also Info 256, which is archives and management and manuscripts. And the one we were just talking about with Esther was Info 285 research methods. Yeah. So Samantha asked, since summer sessions are much shorter, it's a lot more intense. Yeah, it is. Rebecca, yes, it is. Um, yeah, it's all pretty. I this past summer I took two classes and it was a lot. It went by it's like a lot of reading because you've got assignments and discussions like each week and it's all kind of crammed in there. So by the end you're kind of like, oh, like you learn stuff and it's like, oh, you forget about it by the next semester almost. But it does help you, get ahead or try to get through the program a little bit faster if you can only take like one or two classes during a semester.
Someone had also asked, is there a specific topic of Info 285 that you would recommend? Um, so I don't know if anyone has an answer for that who have taken 285.
I could
Um,
chime in for
Go
285 if
ahead.
it's the class I'm thinking of. Hi, everyone. So Info 285, if it's the class I'm thinking of, I took it with Renee Jefferson. Is this, I'm pretty sure this is the class I'm thinking of, Renee
Yes,
Jefferson, because you were
action
talking about research
research.
topics. Yes.
Yeah.
Renee Jefferson was such a wonderful teacher. She is a joy to work with. So if you can get Renee Jefferson for that class, you will nail that class.
Really, really good tip.
Yeah, I had Renee Jefferson too. She was very, very understanding and really very accommodating too. Um, and she lets you pick like a topic that if you were doing like an internship or volunteer, if you're working in a library or archive, you can use for your your work there. And I know some folks also say if you are interested in archives that the historical research class is a good one, but it does have a lot of reading here.
Jenny asks if 285 would be a good one to take solo in the summer.
Yeah, I think so. If you're like, depending on what you're doing, your work and stuff, I tend to need a little bit of extra time just reading stuff and processing things. So I would say if you're like that too and have work as well outside of school, like it could be just a good one to take solo in the summer. Though if you are interested in taking the historical research one with Professor Westbrook. I think that one's only offered in the fall, if that's the section you're interested in.
Hey Marlene, I'm gonna chime in. Hi Marlene.
Hey, Nelly.
Good seeing you.
You too.
I'm actually in 285 with Westbrook right now. So like I can't really say how it's gonna go yet because obviously it's only been a week, but it is offered in spring. And then also
Thank you.
just looking at the syllabus so far, um I I mean I'm also taking 3 classes this semester, so if it ends up being death, that's my fault. But the way he spaces out the syllabus, it's pretty much an assignment is due. It's kind of spaced out every 2 weeks, so it's like in a 2 week period, there's two discussion posts, and then there's only like 3 or 4 major assignments in the whole semester because you're kind of just like building towards your research paper that's due at the end of the semester, if that makes sense. But I mean, I'm enjoying it so far. I think like the material is very interesting. But I mean, we're not jumping into like reading until like next week for the textbook. So we'll see how it goes. I'll probably hop in for the fall hangout and let everyone know how it went. But yeah, just want to throw that out there.
Perfect. Thank you. The next question. Oh, well, we kind of already discussed this a little bit, but I guess kind of to branch off of this question, if there's any classes you wish you didn't take together, like it was too much work together, or if there's a good combination of classes to take together, depending on workload. I don't know if anyone has examples that they can share.
Um, I took, if you are interested in taking like beginning cataloging and classification or metadata with Bolin, I would say that she is good she's a good class to take. Like her classes are good to take along with another one because her assignments are um, like even metadata. She doesn't have that many big assignments throughout the semester, and she doesn't have too much reading, but you're still like learning helpful stuff that'll be useful for you. So that's a good class, either metadata or beginning cataloging and classification with Bolin are good classes to pair with something else.
Mm, that's good to know. Someone also mentioned that government sources searching has a workload too. So that's good to know. Also kind of related to this question, for people who are kind of toward the end of their grad career, is there anything wish you started doing sooner in relation to the e-portfolio?
This isn't an exact response to your question, but I think that one of the things I did not do when I first started was, I mean, I was working on getting the core classes out of the way, and that's really important. But after that, I didn't pay as much attention to the classes that are only offered like one time a year. Like there's a bunch of interesting things that only come up during the summer. And I didn't pay enough attention to that and plan for that. And I think that there's some missed opportunities because, again, you could only take them once a year.
Mm, that's really good to point out.
Yeah, that's a good point, Rebecca. Also, I think someone said looking at the internships database, that's something else I wish I would
Mm,
have done earlier. But also like participating in external like get-together opportunities. That's how I met actually Nellie because we both volunteered at Archives Bazaar in Los Angeles last fall. So we were able to meet in person, and we also met a few more SJSU folks in person. So if you're able to, whether it's like Archives Crawl or Archives Bazaar or any other meetup that you have in your area, if you're able to make it and just, meet people there, that's a really good it's a really good networking opportunity, but it also gets you out and gets you um, kind of interfacing with other either archives or special libraries or special collections places in your around your or near your area. Also for the e-port, I would say, because I'm taking that class now with Rebecca and Esther as well, I would say if you can try to get your evidence sorted out, maybe like during the summer, during the break before the e-port class starts. Because once everything's organized, it'll help you figure out how to write the actual competency essay. Um, and just getting everything sorted out and picked is takes a little bit like more work. So doing that before classes start kind of makes you feel a little bit more prepared, I think.
mm, that's good to know. Heather had also mentioned in the chat that they're glad they didn't do too much portfolio prep because their advisor had very specific instructions. Um, I guess that's good to keep in mind as well. Oh, Jesse asked, for those in their ePort class, can they mention how students should go about recovering lost assignments or locked classes that are from a year or two ago?
So there is a way to download, I think, submitted assignments. You can't access previous discussion posts if you didn't draft them, in a Word doc or in a Google Doc. But let me find that link for you because in the ePort handbook, there is a section on how to download previously submitted assignments. Because I think those you should still be able to get those even if it's already past the lockout deadline. So let me find that link and I'll put it in the chat.
Wow, I hadn't heard that. I was actually going to say, especially for the people who are new, there's a couple of Facebook groups that are important, and one of them is on the ePort. And I joined it when I was early on in the program, and just to like follow along and see what people are asking. And there were always people saying, like, oh, I had this teacher at this semester and I lost the list of assignments, and other people were able to fill in like what the instructions were or helpful things like that so that they could reconstruct um, what they had done that they lost. But it would be much better to actually download your own work. I didn't know that was an option. Thank you, Marlene. Uh, Jesse, I will put a link into the chat because I have to go find it myself. Hang on.
Marlene did just post in the support group Facebook group. So that link should be in there. There's also another good Facebook group that is about class recommendations as well that could help. I've used that myself just to ask about what teachers, what the workload's like, so that could be helpful as well.
That one's pure gold because it has honest
Yes.
thumbs up, thumbs down for professors. And why? Like some people are not, everyone's not the best match for a professor, but they can tell you why.
Mhm. I've also started doing, since this is my second, third semester, and being part of these kind of groups and hearing students who've been here for a while, I have actually started doing for discussion posts, saving them all in a Google Doc and then pasting and posting them to online. And that way I will always have my discussion posts on my Google account with the school. And then if you need to download it to your laptop, you can have it in multiple places saved if you need it for when it comes time to ePortfolio. So I think we got the links posted in the chat. You guys can save those. Those will be helpful. And I think we have, so yeah, another question that we can talk about is best opportunity you've been a part of, either through school or externally, that's helped you with your classes, internships, future career goals, anything like that.
Um, I'm just gonna hop on and say Samantha asked, I don't think I'm alone in this, but maybe I am a bit overwhelmed with the all the pathways and the directions that I'd like to go in. Um, are there any good suggestions you might have for new students who are interested in everything? Um, I think uh, going to like the events that the different student groups put on is a good start. And all our student groups have our recordings up on our YouTube channels. So you can see the speakers that are on there and they talk about um, either with like the special library student chapter, um, a Reforma or ALA or the ASIST student chapter, like the different people that come on and talk, they'll talk about their work, their career trajectories, the different environments they work in. And a lot of times that kind of helps you think like, oh, that sounds like something I would want to do, or maybe that doesn't sound like something I would want to do. Also, if you are able to, like if you have the time in your schedule to do so, I would say volunteering really helps you figure out what you want to do and what you might not want to do. Before I started the program, I volunteered at my local library, and that helped me decide to start my MLIS. But then I also volunteered at a special library after, and then I decided, you know what, I public libraries are great, but working in that environment is not for me. I much prefer like the special libraries, special collections, archives, kind of side of the field more. So, if you're able to volunteer, then that's a good way to kind of figure out what environments you like, which ones are, more geared towards you and your interests and your personality too.
I'll chime in and say that's absolutely true. When I started this program, I was like, wow, every single class looks fun. And that's part of why I wanted the degree. But I really had to narrow it down. And some of it was just taking classes in different areas. But the actual hands-on volunteering taught me more about, I had fantasies about, me in a pair of white gloves in a dusty basement. And I went and did that for an internship. And it was fun cataloging stuff like that by myself. But would I want to do that for a full-time job forever? No, I wouldn't. And I would not have known that if I hadn't actually just tried doing it. Um, and just as a side note, there's a bunch of us who just recommended the ePort Facebook group. You do actually have to be invited to that group. There's tons of students who can invite you in that group. You just have to be friends with them. And the class recommendations group is open, and so is the SJSU student alumni group. And that's a place where people go and ask to get invited into the ePort group all the time. Just FYI. Sorry to put out links that they're closed. I forgot that you had to get an invite.
I could say something too. The MLIS new students, maybe, they feel overwhelmed. The MLIS great thing about this degree is depending on your trajectory, you still graduate with a degree that kind of defines you as a generalist. And what I mean by that is you could go to libraries, public libraries, you could go to special collections. You can also go to museums, and you can also go to historical societies. And you can also go work in the private sector for any kind of company. And if you, took the Mara route, that's a little different. I'm not too familiar with the Mara route, so I can't give too much advice on that. But last year, I spent a lot of time interning and volunteering at historical societies and museums. I went to a workshop at Canterbury Shaker Village here in New Hampshire, and that was a lot of fun. I've been still at a historical society where I've been working with a lot of photographs. This family from yesteryear that someone donated just boxes of old photographs, and we're talking photographs from the late 19th century and daguerreotypes and stuff that they don't even make anymore, and it's just really cool to open up these boxes and deal with that if that's something you're interested in. And then I was at a maritime museum where I got to play around in their archive and uh talk about naval history and stuff like that, and it also opens the door for other things too, like digital media and preservation and so on. So you have a lot of options.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I think also being part of a student group, uh, their executive board has just been a really great opportunity. Like working on the e-portfolio now, I have at least three, possibly four competencies that I have evidence for just from being on the board on SAASC. Um, and for each competency, you have to have at least three pieces of evidence. So it's been really helpful to have that. But um, not only that, but you get to meet other people and kind of build your network. And you know, some of the positions do require a little bit more time, but other positions are, um, don't require as much time, but you still get to meet, a lot of folks that are in the SJSU program. Also, folks outside of that, because you get to attend the annual meetings or the annual conferences, and just amongst like the student leadership groups, it's a really good there's like a wealth of resources there that is just shared about, the MLAS program or the even MARA program too. So if you're able to and you would want to, I would definitely recommend joining a student group.
I would say also another thing about student groups, the seminars that they put on can also be helpful in deciding what kind of pathway you want to do. I think there's been a lot of great seminars that we have put on that I found really interesting. It kind of helps you decide what classes you want to take, what do you want to focus on. So joining any of those workshops or seminars as they come, I think will be a great opportunity as well.
Yeah. And you get to like talk to, I know like Rebecca, she's our vice chair, so she interfaces with like the speakers that she lines up. So you get to like build your network with like, working professionals in the archives field. So and pretty much Rebecca too, you get to ask them when you have the speaker series, you get to ask them anything you want about their job and their career. So it's a pretty good opportunity.
It's true. And anyone who comes to the sessions can ask questions too. But I mean, that brings up another aspect of joining the board. It's not something I ever, when I first joined the program, I joined as the one of the event coordinators because it took a very small amount of time and I was working full time and going to school. And I thought I didn't have a lot of time to commit and I didn't want to overcommit to extracurricular things. But I found that it was everything you just said. Is a lot of opportunities to meet people and learn new things. It was not super time intensive. And then as I went on, I got more skills from practicing things on the board level that I would probably not have chosen to do otherwise, but are going to really benefit me going forward. Like doing interfacing with speakers, not my first choice to do. In spite of what people might think, that is not something I usually step up to volunteer to do. But I'm so glad I did. It's been really great. And I don't know, it's been such a great experience. I just highly recommend it as an opportunity for other people. And finding ways to do it that fit your schedule because everyone's busy, but it is entirely doable to work full time, take the classes full time, and still manage to have a meeting once a month. It's okay, right? But as long as that's your priority.
Mhm. I guess before we move on, is there any other opportunities anyone would like to share in the chat or unmute yourself?
Um, I think I want to say too, you never really know what opportunity is going to help you get like the internship or like connect you with someone that might help you or notify you of a job opportunity. Like when I volunteered at the special library I was mentioning, they happened to be having a digitization project going on. So I was able to help with that. And there were some interns there from the UCLA MLIS program who were spearheading that. But I was able to help on that project. And it was a lot of metadata and digitizing stuff. So that those skills then helped me get like an internship that I have now. And I will say I have like the two internships I've gotten. One was in special collections. My current one's as an archives intern at a Cinematheque. um, they've all come from Handshake, actually. So for me,
Oh,
Handshake has been a good resource. Yeah.
Jesse had also mentioned the Archeota, the student-led journal. That's also a really good opportunity for members to join if they would like to.
Archeota, you all have your new issue out, right? I think so. Let me put that in the chat. Um, so if anybody's interested in writing about your internship experience, I think, right, Jesse, or any class research project experience, you can submit uh, to Arcuata when they're looking for articles, and that, if it's selected, that would definitely be a good piece of evidence for your e-portfolio.
I should say it's really not hard to write something for Archeota. And it's really cool because it's a student-led journal. You literally, if you want to, you can write an article, we'll edit it, we'll proofread it for you, while you edit and proofread other things, because you'll still be a member, and that's kind of what you do. And then it's published, and then hey, you can Google it anytime, and there's this cool journal you can cite years from saying, hey, I wrote that. And it's cool. So do it.
Yes. I saw a question. John had asked if anyone's currently working full-time with archives, and that kind of brought us to our next question. What kind of work is everyone doing while in school? Is anyone working currently in libraries or special collections or archives? If anyone wants to share.
Is it all right if I talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I work right now with this company called CoFile. We work on like pretty strict quotas of like digitizing records for different counties across the country. And right now we're going to have to digitize microfiche records for Clark County, Nevada. And a lot of them are going to be marriages, funny enough, because of all the marriages in Las Vegas.
Very cool.
It's not that cool.
Are there going to be any Elvis as a like the marrying
Probably.
you?
Probably. We can't really look at any of the I can't take like any information from it because it's all confidential. Because like all like it might be SSNs and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But no. But sometimes I'll see like interesting things. Like I was like looking at this one and somebody's last name was actually Dingus.
So, I mean, that opportunity that you're going to be doing at your job, that'd be a great thing. I know it's confidential, but it'd be a great piece of evidence for the e-portfolio.
Okay.
And so I would say if you're able to either redact some of the information or maybe show like, I don't know if you're going to come out with like a finding aid or something that's going to be the final product. Um, or if you want to write a blog post about the experience,
I'll
like
probably
that
have
would
to write a
be,
post.
there you go. That
Because
would be
it's
a
illegal for me to take any pictures of
There
it.
you go. Okay, so you could write a post about it. And if you wanted to share the post, our the SAASC blog always accepts you know, submissions if you'd like to write a guest post or a Jesse too. I know Arcuata would probably be open to reviewing that and see if that's accepted, but that would be a really good piece of evidence for the e-portfolio.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, probably competency F, I think, because that's the one about um, selecting, organizing, and preserving information.
Oh yeah, that's what I do all day. They have me do that for 10 hours.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Someone also shared the Discord in the chat, the link for that. That's also another great place to go to with questions for classes, ePort, anything like that. Oh, here's a good question from John. Where'd it go? Does anyone have advice on finding a job while in school?
I would say sign up for the listservs. Archives gigs is a really good one. And I know there's several more, but you'll get a lot of emails throughout the day. But it's also a good place to look just to see if what the jobs are looking for, like the skill sets that they want you to have or the experiences they want you to have. That can also kind of help guide what kind of classes you're going to want to take in the program to prepare you for that. Um, like for example, right now I'm taking digital curation because you get to use Rebecca let me know this. You get to use digital asset management, either archive space or I think you have the option of another one that you can use. So then when you
Reservica.
apply Preservica, so then you can say like, okay, I know how this works. I've used this, dams before. So I do have experience because I know although a lot of jobs say they want you to have, even if it's entry level, they want you to already have 3 years experience with something. It's like, how are you going to do that if I'm already switching careers and have been in school? So it's hard to do that. But they also say like apply anyway. If you think you can do the work and you do meet a lot of the requirements, apply anyway. And sometimes they'll overlook the the time requirement. Let me share. So SNAP, the SAA's Students and New Archival Professionals section, they had a speaker talk about preparing your resume and your cover letter for applying to jobs in archives as a new professional. So they have a recording of that. Let me find that and send that to you just so you can get an idea of like how to how to organize your resume. And also the speaker, she's a career coach, or SAA has like a career coach, career counselor resource center. So she does that for folks. She just reviews resumes for folks applying to jobs in archives. So let me find that and put that in the
Thank you. I think Archives gig also has internships too. So that's another source to go to for internships as well.
Hey Marlene, I just dropped the link for the Snap seminar that you were talking about in the
Oh,
chat.
great. Thank you, Nellie.
And there is a passcode, just FYI, for anybody who's trying to watch it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jesse also mentioned in the chat that SAA has a mentor-mentee form you can fill out and get paired with a professional who can help you. I don't know if anyone has experience with that.
I have direct experience with that, and
Oh,
I think it's good for
perfect.
anyone. I even have one right now, a woman who works at Yale, which is kind of cool, and someone who's on the inside. And it's good for people who are near graduation. It's also good for new students. It doesn't matter where you are in your path, and you can always learn something new from someone else in the field.
Perfect. That's really good. Well, I just saw a question pop up. Have any of you found it difficult to balance internship, classes, job, family, and all of the things? I think for myself, I do work full time while taking classes. I haven't started internship yet, so I know that will add another thing to the time management piece. But for me is definitely I've only been taking 2 or 1 classes a semester as I'm still figuring out working full time and taking classes and trying to find that balance. I'm still figuring it out. I don't know if anyone else has any other good advice to help that time management and balance between school and all the other things in life.
It helps me to just schedule and calendar everything. Um,
Mhm.
so, and also just being like with myself, just being like honest and being like, well, you're not going to have a life for a little while. It's going to be like school and work. And like my
Mhm.
reward will be like being able to watch an episode of The Pit on Thursdays. And, after getting my, schoolwork and reading done, or like being able to see a movie or something. Um,
Mm.
so for me, it's just scheduling everything out and then doing like those little rewards and stuff. And then, but then like when I do catch up with friends, it's that much more meaningful because I don't get to see them that often anymore until I'm done with the program.
I will say I live by my Google Calendar now for sure.
Yeah, I got a lot better at planning out my time and working full time and going to school full time. I felt at first like I couldn't do an internship. I will say that on the internship site, I did do a virtual internship. So they're few and far between, but they do exist. And that was a really good learning experience for me. If you can't make it out in person, that is a possibility. Shout out to the Digital Theological Library.
And I think we do have the link in the chat for the internship site that SJSU has. Kind of already talked about that question. Oh, and I think that's all the questions that we have. So I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to bring up, talk about, anything we didn't get to that people want to talk about. We do have about 15 minutes left of this hour.
I will say I did not make good use of this, but I know that on Discord there were a number of people who would get together and study together and create like recurring study sessions. And so if you find it helpful to study in a group or at a, like in a more communal atmosphere instead of feeling like you're all on your own, that is something that's an option.
I've actually also started using the YouTube like study with me for 2 hours or something. That's actually kind of motivated me, even though I'm not with somebody. Something like that has kind of helped to stay on track. Any kind of tricks like that can help.
So I had a question.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm wondering, well, if so I have like 15, 30 minutes a week that I could devote towards something. I'm wondering what kind of technology related skill you would all recommend I put that towards.
Good question. Hmm.
I mean, that is a tough question. It kind of depends what your interests are. It, it could be something like learning a new tool that people use in the industry. If you're on a more technologically focused track, anything with AI is going to serve you well in terms of career prospects, but you have to be kind of in that field already to play around with code. Um, Also, that's not a huge amount of time to do a deep dive, right? Like it might be even worth just reading about what's coming up in technology.
Thank you.
Sure. I don't know this that helpful, but
Oh, oh yeah, I see in the chat here some I got a recommendation for the LinkedIn Learning and Coursera courses.
yeah, that's a good idea too.
I have a question. Has anyone here ever used like film scanning, microfilm scanning, or microfiche scanning? And if they have they used Nexstar machines?
I have not, but I will say that the I don't know if you might know anyone in the MLAS program at UCLA because they have the
Oh,
film school. A lot of times the film school and the MLAS folks kind of cross over a little bit. Um, so I did meet an intern, a UCLA intern, when I was volunteering at the special library, and there were some film reels that needed to be digitized, and she took them over to the UCLA film department to do that. So
okay.
yeah,
This was in LA, right?
this is in LA, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I also just don't like the Nexstar scanner is not the best, by the way. Just wanted to ask.
I'm also just gonna throw this out there because I did notice like towards the beginning of our hangout that there are a lot of people who are in their first semester right now, especially if you're taking Info 200, which is the information communities class. Like last semester, I took advantage of workshops from the Writing Center, and they have like workshops on like how to read journal articles if you're feeling overwhelmed by the amount of reading you're doing, and then how to write a research paper. And that actually ended up helping me a lot for the research paper that was due at the end of the semester. Because, like, especially if you haven't been in school for a while, like, it's been 15 years since my undergrad. So, um, if you are jumping back into school for the first time in a long time, the Writing Center is definitely the place for like any workshops you need for writing and reading and getting through some of the material.
Definitely. I second that. Someone had also mentioned in the chat using the LinkedIn Learning for Adobe products. Just wanted to shout that out. I think that's a good thing.
On top of
As
LinkedIn
well.
Learning, Coursera, we get Coursera
Mm.
access, and you can get whole certificates in IT, database management, and even software engineering if you wanted to, on top of everything you're doing now.
There's another question about ePort. How would you recommend recording evidence of extracurricular or internship experiences?
I'll answer that since I just finished an internship and I'm about to do my ePort. Uh, go straight to the things that the internship advertised they were going to teach you. Like I did one on collection management and it said at the end you will be able to create a collection, you'll be able to troubleshoot these problems, yada yada. Um, but those were very, very clear markers that I could both put on my resume as skills that I've now learned and that also I could easily translate into ePort things. Also, I had an internship where they were just like, do whatever. And I was able to go, this is not answering that question specifically, but I was able to go in and purposely do things that I wanted to learn in order to use that for a competency later. Like, look, like do a reverse look at what you're doing for work in these internships and pull out the skills that are going to be useful to you that you want to learn and apply to the ePort. But you should be able to, you might be, I mean, as a first step, if you didn't keep records for an internship that you did, look up the job description in the SJSU database site because they go back years and years and years. So if you got it through SJSU, it's still up there somewhere. You can go back and reread it about what the topic was and pull out some information.
Thank you. Any last questions anyone has or topics they'd like to bring up?
Um, so I do just want to do a quick plug. So we're going to start having open board meetings next month. And for the first one in February, it'll be February 10th, and we'll send out an announcement. Our faculty advisor, Dr. Hodges, is going to be on for the first half of our meeting to talk about the ePortfolio because he's also one of the ePortfolio advisors. So he's going to join our February 10th board meeting to talk about just kind of his observations as an e-portfolio advisor and, frequently asked questions, issues that can come up. And then we'll also have an open Q&A for anyone interested to ask, that has any questions about that to ask him. So an announcement will go out, but just wanted to let you all know that that's going to happen on February 10th at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Can I ask one last question before we go, if possible?
Yes. Sure.
How do you keep track of like the events that go on in MLIS program? Because I see a lot of emails of interesting events, but it's hard to keep track of where it goes and how to like see it once the notification is gone on my phone or whatsoever.
I know for me, I use the Google Calendar. I believe we're able to get the Canva calendar on our personal Google Calendar. We'll be able to see events from the different student
Yeah.
chapters. I don't know,
Yeah.
Marlene, if you have a different answer.
Yeah, so yeah, the calendar that connects directly to Canvas is a really good resource. Also, if you just want to bookmark like the SJSU MLIS events calendar, I'm going to put that in the chat right now, and that lists everything that's been added to the calendar once the student groups and other, faculties also have like their faculty talks sometimes and um, other events. So I just put that in the chat if you want to bookmark that. But if you do it through Canvas, then you can see it as you're, log in to do your work.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think we have time for one last question that came in from Michelle. Was where did it go? Wondering if you have any advice for first semester students that want to do a career in archives.
Yeah, what Jesse just put in, take any archives courses that you can. Um, yeah, so start off with Info 256, Archives and Manuscripts. That's a really good introduction to archives. Also check out like if you want to go into the SAASC YouTube, like just the previous like speakers that we've had in the past and in previous years, just so you can get a sense of the different opportunities there are in archives. But for classes, start with Info 256 and then also figure out like what specifically you want to uh, work with. So you could do like, digital asset management. You could do like oral history. You could do, there's like so much you can do. So there's film. I think there's also a class on like film archives and photography. So figure out what your interest is and maybe Info 256 can help you with that and then kind of plan out your career, your school classes and career from there. But also you can talk to, I think you can make an appointment with the faculty advisors to talk about I think Dr. Hodges is one to talk about, what your interests are and what kind of classes they recommend you take based on that. I think the Student Advising Center has those appointments available, and you can meet with them, as often as you want, I think.
I'm gonna throw one more thing in. For anybody who's in Southern California, the OC Archives Bazaar are happening Saturday, March 14th in Irvine at Great Park if you want to go and meet people. I believe I signed up to be a volunteer for it. But that email should have come through your SJSU because that's where I got it. But if anyone wants to go hang out, OC Archives Bazaar is happening in March on the 14th. It's a Saturday.
I'd also, it depends where you live and stuff. Like in New Hampshire, we have some local archive organizations like NEA, New England Archives, and then we have NHAG, New Hampshire Archives Group. They're smaller. They only have a couple workshops a year, but they still have tons of resources, and they're a great help in our otherwise small state. Wherever you live, find your local archivist organizations and look into them and join them because usually they're not expensive. Sometimes they'll have student memberships, but they'll have, their annual workshops and lots of stuff that you can work with.
Thank you. All right, we'll come just about to time. Want to thank everyone for joining, participating. I think, was there any last announcement we wanted to make before closing, Marlene?
Yeah, That's it. Just about our open meeting coming up in February. That announcement will go out, and also just letting folks know that Archeota has their current issue out. So I had placed that link in the chat.
Okay. Perfect. Well, everyone enjoy the rest of your night and have a great semester.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.